If a woman never calls or texts you first, that's not an accident. And it's not because she's too busy or not a phone person. Women know how to reach out when they want to. We know how to check on a man, how to initiate, how to make effort when we genuinely feel drawn to him. So, when a woman never calls or texts you first, even though she replies when you reach out, there's something deeper going on. And a lot of men misread this situation because they look at the response instead of the initiative. But if you want to understand female psychology, initiative is everything. So let me speak to you as a woman. When we like a man, it bothers us not to talk to him. It sits in our mind. We think about what he's doing. We check our phone. We plan what to say. Every woman does this when she feels emotionally connected. So when you're the one always texting first, always starting the conversation, always trying to keep it alive, you're taking on the entire weight of the connection by yourself. And that imbalance tells you more about her real interest than anything she actually says. But here's where men get stuck. You think that if you stop trying, she'll disappear. And yes, maybe she will. But that's not the loss you think it is. A woman who'll let you go just because you stop doing 100% of the effort is not a woman who was ever choosing you in the first place. If she never initiates, you are not her priority. You're her option. And that's the truth most men don't hear. So today, I want to talk to you like a woman who understands how women behave behind the scenes. And I want to give you the simplest way to handle this situation. Not by arguing, not by complaining, not by demanding effort. Just by shifting one thing about how you respond. Because if she never calls or texts you first, there's a very specific move you need to make. And it changes everything. 1. Stop filling the silence she creates. When a woman never calls or texts you first, the biggest mistake men make is that they rush to fill the silence she leaves. Every time she pulls back, you move forward. Every time she doesn't text, you text more. Every time she goes quiet, you assume something is wrong and try to fix it. But as a woman, let me tell you what's actually happening on our side when we behave like that. We're observing. We're testing without calling it a test. We're watching your reaction to our lack of effort because it tells us what position we hold in your mind. I want you to picture something. A woman you like hasn't messaged you all day. You feel it. You keep checking your phone. You wonder if she's losing interest. You start thinking about what you could send to restart the conversation. Meanwhile, on her end, she sees your name pop up again. She sees that you're still initiating, still carrying the connection, still proving yourself even without any effort from her. And in that moment, you don't become more valuable in her eyes. You become predictable. Women don't feel attracted to predictable pursuit. We feel attracted to a man who shows interest but doesn't replace our lack of effort with extra effort of his own. When you always fill the silence, you teach her that she doesn't have to. You remove the natural pressure we should feel to meet you halfway. You remove the excitement of wondering if you're thinking about us. You remove the emotional space that makes attraction grow. A woman's silence isn't always about disinterest, but it is always information. It shows you how much she values connection with you when you're not the one initiating it. So the move you need to make is simple. Do nothing. Do not text first every time. Do not panic when she goes quiet. Let the silence stand. Let her feel the gap she created, because that gap tells the truth. And when you stop rushing to fill it, you finally get to see her real intentions instead of the version you create in your mind. That shift alone already changes the entire dynamic. 2. Let her feel the space. You leave. When you stop always initiating, something important happens in a woman's mind. Women are emotional creatures, and we notice changes quickly. We feel energy shifts even before they're obvious. So when a man who normally texts first suddenly isn't doing that anymore, even for a short time, we feel it. Not because we're obsessed with you, but because we're used to the pattern you've created. And when you break that pattern, it forces us to reevaluate how we see you. Women subconsciously categorize men based on the level of effort they put in. If you always initiate, we place you in the category of the man who wants us more than we want him. And once you're in that category, we don't rush to keep the connection alive. But when you pull back, even slightly, it disrupts that category. It makes us question where you stand. That questioning is the first spark of real attraction. Letting her feel the space you leave is not about manipulation. It's about balance. A woman cannot appreciate something she never has to risk losing. When you constantly reach out first, she gets comfortable. Not comfortable in a warm way, but comfortable in a lazy way. Comfortable in a way that never forces her to show interest. But the moment you stop filling the space, she becomes aware of it. She starts thinking. She starts checking her phone. She starts wondering. That wondering is powerful because women operate on emotional momentum. When a man's effort is constant, we adapt to it and take it for granted. When that effort shifts, even slightly, momentum shifts with it. Suddenly, she has to contribute if she wants the connection to continue. And if she doesn't contribute, you learn something important. Her effort level wasn't low by accident. It was her real level. This is why letting her feel the space matters. It brings clarity. It reveals truth. And it gives her the chance to step toward you if she genuinely cares. 3. Women notice the absence. Before the effort, most men think women only respond to effort. But that's not true. Women respond more to the absence of effort than the presence of it. A woman might overlook your good morning texts, your check-ins, your compliments, your consistency. But the moment it stops, she feels it. That's because women have a stronger emotional reaction to losing something than to receiving something. The absence hits harder. When you stop initiating every conversation, she notices the shift. And women don't ignore shifts in attention. We're wired to respond emotionally when something that felt certain becomes uncertain. Even if she wasn't calling or texting you first, she still got used to you being available. She still enjoyed the security of knowing you would always show up. So when that changes, her mind goes into reflection. She'll start replaying previous conversations. She'll wonder whether you're losing interest. She might check your social media or read your old messages again. She'll feel a pull toward you because uncertainty activates desire. It makes her pay attention. It makes her evaluate her own feelings instead of relying on your effort to keep things alive. The absence of effort from your side also creates a real opportunity for her to show her intentions. Women reach out when they feel emotional investment. If she never texts you first, she might have taken your effort for granted. But when that effort is no longer guaranteed, she's forced to decide whether you matter enough for her to act. The reason this works is simple. Women chase emotional validation, not logical certainty. When your effort is predictable, it becomes background noise. When it stops, it becomes a signal. And that signal makes her pay attention in a way she wasn't before. So remember this. You don't need grand gestures or more effort to make a woman see your value. You need space. You need absence. You need the silence that makes her mind wake up and realize that the connection isn't one-sided anymore. That realization can create a shift in her feelings that effort alone never could. 4. The emotional shift that makes her reach out. When you stop doing all the initiating, something changes in her emotional landscape. Women don't reach out because a man complains, argues, or demands effort. We reach out because we feel an emotional pull toward doing it. And that emotional pull happens only when the dynamic resets. The shift begins with uncertainty. When the usual pattern disappears, her mind starts exploring possibilities. She might think you're busy, distracted, losing interest, or talking to someone else. That uncertainty doesn't mean she's desperate, but it does activate curiosity. And curiosity is the seed of interest. Next comes accountability. Whether women admit it or not, we know when we've been contributing the bare minimum. When you stop reaching out first, it forces us to look at our own behavior. It makes us aware that we've been comfortable. It makes us realize that we haven't been giving anything. That realization can trigger desire because effort from our side becomes necessary to keep the connection alive. Then comes emotional reflection. If she cares at all, even a little, her mind starts revisiting the reasons she liked you in the first place. She thinks about how she feels when you're responsive, attentive, or engaging. That reflection brings back emotions that were quiet under the weight of your constant effort. Finally, the shift becomes action. Once the emotional pull builds, a woman will start reaching out. Maybe it's small at first, a simple hey, or reacting to your story. Maybe it's asking about your day, or starting a conversation out of nowhere. The point is, she initiates because she feels something she wasn't feeling when you were carrying all the effort. Women initiate when we feel drawn to you, not when we're asked to. And that draw happens when you stop trying to control the connection and instead let it balance naturally. That emotional shift is subtle but powerful, and it's the key to making her reach out without forcing anything. 5. When she realizes you're no longer chasing. There always comes a moment when a woman realizes a man has stopped chasing her. And that moment hits harder than you think. The shift usually shows up in small ways first. She notices that you didn't text today. She checks her phone more than usual. She sees your status or your posts and wonders why you haven't said anything to her. She might even type a message and delete it because she's unsure how you'll respond now that the dynamic feels different. This moment matters because it triggers something women rarely admit. We don't want a man we're unsure about, but we also don't want to lose the attention of a man who values us. When you stop chasing, you remove the assurance she had. You remove the invisible cushion she felt. It creates a small sting. Not pain, but awareness. Imagine a woman who has gotten used to you greeting her first, asking how she slept, checking in during the day, or trying to start conversations. Then one day nothing. She notices before lunch. She thinks about it again in the afternoon. By evening, she feels the shift. That subtle discomfort is the beginning of her realizing that you're no longer orbiting around her. What makes this powerful is that it forces her to question her own behavior. She realizes she hasn't been giving anything back. She realizes she's been relying on your interest to maintain the connection. And that realization creates respect. Not dramatic respect, but a quiet shift in how she perceives you. Because when a man pulls back without being emotional or angry, it shows maturity. It shows self-worth. It shows that he's not afraid of losing her. Most men think chasing proves interest, but from a woman's perspective, chasing proves insecurity. Presence proves interest. Balance proves attraction. but over-pursuit proves fear. So when she sees that you're no longer chasing, it changes how she sees you. It repositions you from a man who needs her attention to a man who values his own. 6. How to hold your ground. Without being cold, holding your ground doesn't mean acting distant or pretending you don't care. It simply means matching her effort instead of overwhelming it. Women are drawn to men who value themselves. A man who respects his time and attention doesn't give it away endlessly, especially when it's not being reciprocated. To hold your ground, you need to stop rescuing the connection every time it slows down. When she goes quiet, stay balanced. Focus on your life, your goals, and your routine. Not to prove a point, but because that's who you should be, regardless of her behavior. Women notice when a man has structure. We notice when he doesn't waver based on our level of interest. It makes you feel stable, grounded, and trustworthy. Another part of holding your ground is staying emotionally composed. Don't send emotional messages about how she never reaches out. Don't tell her you feel ignored. Don't try to guilt her into giving more. Women don't respond to pressure. We respond to consistency within boundaries. Show interest when she shows interest, but don't give more than she's giving. Also, avoid becoming overly available. A man who is always ready to talk the moment she sends a message loses a bit of his edge. You don't need to delay responses or play games. Just stay natural. If you're busy, stay busy. If you have plans, keep them. When a woman sees that you're not waiting around for her, it shifts the entire dynamic. Holding your ground also means being clear with your energy. Give her warm, natural conversation when she initiates or matches your effort. But don't revert to chasing because she sent one message. Let the balance build naturally. Let her feel like she has a role in maintaining the connection. The truth is, women don't want a man who pulls back to punish us. But we are drawn to a man who maintains his identity, his routine, and his standards no matter what. That steadiness makes us feel something deeper than excitement. It makes us feel respect, and respect is what creates interest that lasts. 7. The truth about her interest. You must finally accept. This is the part most men avoid facing. If a woman never calls or texts you first, even after you stop initiating constantly, you need to accept what that means. Not with anger, not with frustration, just with clarity. Women make time and effort for what matters to us. We reach out when we care. We initiate when we feel a connection. Even shy women, even busy women, even introverted women will text a man they feel drawn to. Maybe not every time, but enough that you can feel their interest. So if she still gives nothing, even when you stop carrying the connection, that is not mixed signals. That is her signal. A lot of men convince themselves that a woman is interested because she responds. But responding is not effort. It's convenience. She answers because it takes nothing from her. Initiating requires emotional investment. And if she doesn't invest, then she's not choosing you. Some men don't want to accept this because they're afraid of losing the only form of connection they have with her. But pretending she cares more than she does only wastes your time and kills your confidence. You need to see her behavior without trying to reinterpret it. If she wanted you, you would know. Not because she would chase you, but because she would contribute. She would show interest in small but clear ways. She would ask questions, start conversations sometimes, check on you, create moments of connection. If she never does any of that, she's not confused. She's comfortable with you wanting her more than she wants you. The truth you need to accept is simple. A woman who wants you will show it. A woman who doesn't will always leave you unsure. Your job as a man is not to convince her. It's to recognize what she's showing you and act accordingly. Here's the truth most men don't hear. If a woman never calls or texts you first, she has already decided that you're not someone she needs to pursue. Maybe she likes the attention. Maybe she likes the comfort. Maybe she likes knowing you're there. But that doesn't mean she values you. Women show interest through initiative, even in small ways. And if you're not seeing any of that, you're investing in someone who isn't choosing you back. What I want you to take from this is simple. Stop doing the work for both people. Stop chasing connection with someone who won't meet you halfway. Pull back, hold your ground, and let her reveal her real feelings through her actions. You don't need to remind her of your value. You need to live in it. And I want you to share something with me. Have you been in a situation where a woman never reached out first? How did you handle it? Did she ever step up when you stopped initiating? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading your stories and replying because these conversations matter. They help men see the truth through a woman's eyes, not through wishful thinking. You deserve a connection where effort is mutual, interest is clear, and you aren't guessing your worth. So use this moment to shift the way you see women's behavior. Because once you understand it, you stop chasing and start choosing.